So, hello and welcome to another episode of the Leadership Lens, where we speak with global leaders on what's trending in the ecosystem. So, technology now is moving at a blinding speed, disrupting the status quo and creating new business opportunities everywhere. And I don't say this, Tech Whisperer says this. And today we have with us the founder and MD of the Tech Whisperer Limited, who is Jaspreet Bindra, a leading thought leader and practitioner in the digital transformation, artificial intelligence, Web3 technologies. Jaspreet was the Group Chief Digital Officer at the $25 billion Mahindra Group, a regional director at Microsoft, and part of the Tata Group through the Tata Administrative Services. Welcome, Jaspreet. It's great to have you on the Leadership Lens.
Lovely to be here, Shani. Look forward to the conversation.
Awesome. So, Jaspreet, you've been a leading voice in artificial intelligence, Web3 ecosystem, the Tech Whisperer on digital transformation and technologies that enable it. You've written this book which was published by Penguin Random House, as well as the Immune Organization, how to kind of future-proof organizations from COVID-like disruptions. And you've been a lot ahead of your time. You spoke about Gen AI at AdTech when I know a lot of people were shying away from the topic at that point. So where does this passion for digital technology come from? Where did it all really start?
Well, Shani, to be very honest, I have a passion for just knowing stuff, for knowledge. I used to be a quizzer when I was a kid and as college, etc. And reasonably, I mean, if you had Googled me at that time, everything would have popped up about me was only about quizzing. And, I won a few things, etc. So anyway, so I've always had this passion for knowledge. And then when I used to read a lot of science fiction, so that kind of gave in, and in science fiction predicts what happens with technology 30, 40 years before. And then as I started working, with the internet at Bazi, with telecom, at Microsoft, I developed a passion for technology, and this intersection of technology and knowledge resulted in me deciding at a point of time that I will kind of only do this for the rest of my life and try and make a living out of it. So that's where it comes from.
Well, I mean, that is actually inspirational for all the kids out there who are interested in quizzing, in new technology and science fiction, of course. So, Jaspreet, you spoke about Gen AI. Like we said, you did the keynote on Gen AI at AdTech 2023, where Gen AI was still in its nascency. And, like I said, a lot of people were shying away from, exploring the topic at that point. And it looks like the last 1 year has been, Gen AI has come a really, really long way. What are your thoughts on this evolution? Where is this headed?
Well, I woke up on 1st December 2023, 22 in Cambridge. I was in Cambridge then. And I woke up and I saw my phone and I saw this thing called ChatGPT had been launched. I'd known about large language models a little bit with GPT-2, GPT-3, especially 3, but a little bit. But when I saw this, I knew that the world is going to change. Okay. And I knew that, if in my generation, this is the one. Okay, which is going to be the biggest of them all. And I guess that comes from just, being immersed in something like this and therefore knowing that. And then obviously, as you know, it took off in 5 days. There were 1 million users. In 2 months, there were 100 million, etc., etc. And it's kind of dominating the discourse since then. Well, to be honest, AI is a pretty old technology. It's 50, 60 years old. But AI, I tell people, sometimes is like electricity. You only think of it when it's not there. And so AI was always working behind the scenes. So we had never seen it. It was doing miraculous stuff before ChatGPT, the protein folding, defeating people at Go, multiple huge things. But it was happening in a place where ordinary users like you and me could not see it, feel it, touch it. What ChatGPT did was to bring that super powerful technology, a version of it, which is the generative AI, not all of AI, into the hands of millions of people worldwide. And with its almost, human-like features, that's what kind of just made the entire world sit up and take notice of a technology which had been existing for a while and had had time to develop for a while. And so that's I think really what happened. I mean, if you are, I'll not answer about the future of it. I'll wait for the question because that then is a separate long answer. So that's what I think what kind of made us get this wow moment because of it suddenly came into our hands.
Yeah. So the moment it comes into the hands of the ordinary folk, be it electricity, be it the computer, be it the laptop, be it the phone, that's when, the evolution, this fast evolution starts happening. Right. So, and, in along with this evolution, while there is a lot of optimism around here, there is, every day a new scare about AI and GPT. Every day, someone is trying to use it more efficiently. Government is trying to discipline it. There is, there are, more technologies to figure out what was done by Chat GPT. So what is your take on this fear and maybe, the thought process that society today is not ready for Chat GPT or a generative AI? What do you think about this?
So I spent the last 2 years, 22 and 23, doing a second master's after my MBA hundreds of years back, which was in AI and ethics. And that was from Cambridge University. So I spent 2 years alternating between Cambridge and India. And very frankly, I came out more confused than when I went in because the ethics is such a vast field. But Shiny, you think about it. I mean, if you think of the first great technology which human beings saw was probably fire. Okay. And imagine what would have happened for the first 20 people who had seen fire. I mean, the first reaction would have been extreme fear because fire is extremely destructive. Okay. And it can kind of, kill. And then gradually we learned how to manage fire. Okay. Similarly with electricity. Electricity is an extremely destructive, potent technology. And then as things went on, similarly with nuclear power, okay, it has both sides. So any such fundamental technology which comes in, we tend to, there usually these technologies have both sides, the destructive side and the beneficial side. Us human beings, if I may say so, always tend to focus first on the destructive side. We want to be afraid for reasons I don't understand. Okay. And so and obviously bad news, we make it travel much faster than the good news. And therefore, 90% of the discourse today is dominated by, getting scared, getting terrified, getting what is going to happen. We did the same with nuclear power, and it's very destructive. But think about it. I mean, after Hiroshima, everyone clamped down. No nuclear power was produced, and global warming happened. Because we started using coal. So, there's this. We have to do this balance, and I agree that with AI, like with all the other technologies that I mentioned, there's a huge dark side, and that dark side needs to be regulated. People need to be aware of that. The founders themselves are saying we need to regulate it. We need to temper our expectations of generative AI. We think it will solve world hunger tomorrow morning. Okay, it's not going to do that. But then we also need to be sure that because of our fear, which as human beings we tend to give a higher weightage to than excitement, we don't throw the baby away with the bathwater. Having said that, I do not want to discount the fact that there are a lot of issues like deepfakes, like bias, privacy, environmental impact. But I am hopeful that we will muddle through it like we have muddled through other things. And the final last thing I will say is that, a lot of people ask me, parents ask me, I know you have a young child, you just mentioned, ask me, I have a young daughter, teenage daughter, can she try ChatGPT, for example? And I'm like, yes, sure, just absolutely, but just keep her away from Instagram. So I think this technology is far safer. They built the right guardrails, etc. Than the where we messed up with, which is with social media. I'll stop here.
Yeah, actually, I see a lot of openness about ChatGPT, even with school. So my daughter's school gives her homework and tells her to do this using ChatGPT. So that was interesting for me because I was telling her, don't copy anything from there, don't copy anything from there. But this was interesting.
Yeah, your school is kids' school is doing the right thing. I mean, it's like saying that do something without using calculators, do something without using computers, do something without using Google search. So then the people who are using it will be far ahead of people who are not. So that's good then.
Absolutely. And in marketing, when I'm talking to a lot of these marketers over the last year, and a lot of them have grappled with ChatGPT, are trying to use it. But most of the, so 90% of the use cases, Jaspreet, that I see are coming out in the communications aspect, in the creative. We made 100 creatives in 30 seconds. We wrote so many emails in so much time, and we personalized content around this thing. But I'm seeing, I mean, where I expected to see a lot of, buzz coming out was around the use of data and data mining and things like that. Can you share a few examples of how this is happening in companies, in organizations with AI?
So look, again, let's separate out AI and generative AI. Okay, AI has been in use for the last 20, 30 years. And as I said, if AI stops tomorrow, our world will stop, much like electricity. Our taxis will stop working, our traffic signals, our planes, our factories, our social media, e-commerce, everything will stop working. Okay, so AI is being used pretty much in marketing with ad tech. Okay, the way you kind of place ads, buy ads, etc., hugely driven by AI. Recommendation systems hugely driven by AI. So AI buying of media very much driven algorithmically. So AI is being used for a very long time. Okay, and marketers have used it without creating a fuss about it. Okay, like we are now creating a fuss about generative AI. Okay, because it's the buzzword. Generative AI it's called generative AI for a reason. It's used to generate, and that's why generative AI. Okay, so the other word for generate is create. Okay, so to create. So what generative AI should be used for and is good to be used for is generation creation, forming something, building something, brainstorming something. While AI, much bigger than generative AI, is used for all the data mining, getting stuff out, etc. And for that, we don't really need generative AI, to be very honest with you. Okay. Yes, we need company data in large companies to inform generative AI so that the answers that it gives also have your company context in mind, etc. And that's a bit of a challenge right now, but hopefully we'll get solved. So generative AI is a cognitive technology. And it will basically what it's going to do is it's going to help you, if you're a marketer, work better, work faster. Okay, and therefore increase your productivity if you use it the right way, whether you use Copilot, whether you use Jasper, whether you use Copy.ai, whether you use many of the marketing tools built on GPT, etc. And we should not discount productivity. We think, this only increases productivity. What's the big deal? Okay, every technology, what it has really done is it's given a boost to productivity, whether it's the printing press or the internet or whatever, or search or whatever. And productivity, if you're an economist or economists who will listen to this will know, directly drives prosperity. So it's only because of productivity, prosperity increases, no other reason. And prosperity means GDP. GDP means revenues. Revenues means salaries. Salaries means per capita income. Okay, and prosperity. And so this is a massive, massive productivity tool, and it should be seen with those eyes. While there is AI, which is an analysis tool, prediction tool, this is not an analysis prediction tool. And that's what I kind of, most of my time is spent explaining that to people, including marketers.
Yes. And correct. I think this is a wonderful point that you brought together, Jaspreet, saying that productivity is what's going to drive the GDP at the end of the day. And that is number one reason why we shouldn't be afraid of generative AI, right? Because it's only, in the most crass of words, going to make us richer.
Well,
But
yeah, no, I think we should be afraid of it a little bit also, but not be so afraid that we just, run away and don't do anything with it.
correct. Absolutely. And that brings me to this question around job losses. We've seen tremendous job losses in the last 12 years. And like while we're saying this is going to increase productivity, what does this really mean for the human being out there? Because I remember at AdTech, you said that people, and right now also you said that people who use AI will replace people who don't use AI. Same was for the computer. What do you see the future of work like? Where is that headed now?
Oh, absolutely. I think the single biggest use case of generative AI is work. Okay, and how it will transform work. The work will be transformed the same way as Excel or Word or software transform it. And those softwares, if you remember, are called productivity softwares. Okay, and so it will transform it in the same quantum way. Okay. And already we have started seeing that with Microsoft Copilot and a lot of these tools which are coming in, which are a step change from what has existed. One of the most promising tools is actually which has started transforming jobs today, something called GitHub Copilot, which is used by software engineers. And a software engineer can write code much better, faster, test code better, faster. And that started getting a lot of traction. And the same thing, I think, eventually we'll have many marketing co-pilots and other kind of co-pilots which will make that happen. And so today, if you think of software, a software engineer who uses GitHub Copilot is going to be much, much better than a person not using that. Okay. And therefore, if you don't use it, you will in all likelihood be replaced. And that's where I come from, that a person using AI will, replace a person, will replace you, not just AI or a robot, which is out there. Okay? Now, what does that mean? In a software context, and I'll come to marketing, in a software context, I believe that if you're a person, for example, a company with 100 engineers, you can, and your GitHub Copilot increases productivity by 2x. Okay, so you can do the same work with 50 engineers and therefore 50 people lose jobs. Okay, on the other hand, I believe that the demand for software is infinite. And so with 100 people, the other way to look at it is you can do 2x the work and therefore be more profitable, etc., etc. See, what happens with productivity and prosperity increases that industries increase. Okay, the size of the pie increases. And so I think that with a similar amount of people, you can get better stages of the pie. But sure, there'll be industries and companies with managements which don't think this way, etc., which will look at it the other way. That now I'm kind of so therefore let's reduce. I mean, the way to look at it is let's expand business with the same people rather than let's keep that business with half the number of people. There are two ways to think about it. Frankly, I also do believe, and it's a bit of a controversial statement, that a lot of people who are shedding jobs today, blaming AI, it's not AI which is taking the jobs. It's the fact that interest rates have increased. It's the fact that geopolitical situation has worsened. Okay, it's the fact that inflation has increased. Okay, which is actually creating job losses. But AI is a great thing to blame because no one faults you. And the analysts and the market loves you, saying that, oh, they're using AI to do stuff. So your stock price goes up. So you kill two birds with one stone. And so sure, AI is taking some jobs right now, but not as many as it's kind of being reported and being ascribed to AI. Again, last thing, having said that, look, every technology takes jobs, every single one of them. However, so far at least, every technology creates net new jobs. But it only creates those net new jobs for people who are prepared to embrace it, immediately get onto it, and learn it, rather than start acting like a victim of it. And that's true for any job, including marketeers.
Yes, absolutely. Someone with better talent, better tools is bound to do better, is more likely to, retain a job versus someone who's not doing that. It completely just makes sense. So, and you mentioned Microsoft Copilot. So I wanted to come to that really interesting conversation because Google has been so-called unchallenged for a long time. And I saw this video of yours where you had a very interesting take on what you call search wars. So do you want to tell us about a little bit about this and how Google's position is being challenged after a long time and what do you see happening here?
Yeah, actually, I have a forthcoming article on this in the Economic Times next week, I think, or whatever. But it's very interesting. What happens with any fundamental new technology is that the current order changes, the old order changes. Okay, it happened with the internet. Yahoo, Amazon, Google all came in, and lots of companies fell by the wayside. Okay, and similarly, I think with generative AI, we are seeing another monumental shift in big tech. Now, it's not many people know that the transformer model, which powers generative AI, was actually created in Google's labs in 2017, and they actually built this. And Google is the powerhouse of AI even today. No other company compares with it in terms of the sheer amount of talent they have, obviously the money and the data they have, and it's just far ahead of everyone else. But I think sometimes with very successful companies, you also get inertia. And also you start feeling that, you've got such an amazing business model. I believe Google's business model is the most profitable business model since cocaine. Okay. And they kind of said that, if anything is coming to challenge this business model, cannibalize it, they didn't really want to act on it. And so they didn't do anything with the transformer. A small startup called OpenAI ran with it, created GPT 1, 2, 3, 3.54, and rest, as we know, is history. And Microsoft, and I think I totally ascribe it to Satya Nadella's leadership, and that's the difference leadership makes. Kind of saw this early, and did whatever they did with OpenAI, the whole alliance with the investment. But what has impressed me with Microsoft is not this investment. Investment, sometimes you luck out, sometimes it's a matter of chance. But once they realize the power of it, the speed at which they have worked at that scale, it's the largest company on earth at that scale, to start integrating it into all their products, even though it doesn't work very well right now. They'll still take some time, and at that scale, the way they have just rolled out this is just unbelievable. And Google and everyone have frankly been caught napping. Having said that, I don't rule Google out at all. I believe that in the future, it will be Microsoft OpenAI as one big competitor, Google as the other, and maybe a third guy. Let's see who emerges, and Google clearly will come back. But it has had some missteps early, multiple missteps early. Frankly, DeepMind, Google's company, is far ahead of any other company in AI. Generative AI, as I said, is a small part, but that catches our attention. But what DeepMind, Google DeepMind, now Google DeepMind is doing in big AI is leap years ahead of the competition. It's in generative AI that they have had this problem.
Wonderful. I think this was a really eye-opening conversation, Jaspreet. I mean, a lot of, like we say, common misconceptions, small doubts that we have, lots of things cleared. And thank you so much. This was wonderful. And I hope to catch you again whenever you're in India.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Shani. I enjoyed it too, and look forward.